Continuing our Bhagavad-gita study, we are studying chapter 4 of Bhagavad-gita. So first, we invoke auspiciousness. Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 We have driven out all inauspicious vibrations by chanting the different mantras, and now this 12-syllable mantra. And before we go into chapter 4, I'd like to read one verse from the Srimad Bhagavad-gita Mahatmyam. And this particular selection is spoken by Krishna himself. This verse, Krishna himself tells you what he feels about his own Bhagavad-gita. So Krishna says, the Sanskrit, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Gita me Hridayang Partha Gita me Saram Uttamam Gita me Jnanam At Yugrang Gita me Jnanam Avyayam. The Supreme Lord God, Krishna said, O Partha, Bhagavad-gita is my heart. Bhagavad-gita is my supreme essence. And Bhagavad-gita is intense, imperishable knowledge of myself. So that's only one. There are many things, but for now, that's the first. Let us begin now chapter 4, which has 42 verses. Chapter 4 is entitled Transcendental Knowledge. Transcendental knowledge is distinct from material knowledge because transcendence is described by the word adhokshaja. Adhokshaja means that which is beyond the range of material mind and senses to know. Since it is transcendental knowledge and beyond experimental knowledge, transcendental knowledge comes down from the higher spiritual realm down to the material realm. The original speaker of transcendental knowledge is God himself, and he gives transcendental knowledge to the Creator, Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma repeats that transcendental knowledge to his best disciples, such as Narada Muni. And through this chain of disciplic succession, which we'll read about right here in the opening stanzas, transcendental knowledge is distributed to the earth. But the key point is that the knowledge descends. Western viewpoint of knowledge is they assume nothing and they work upwards. Whereas transcendental knowledge comes down from God and gradually down to human beings. So, transcendental knowledge means spiritual knowledge which you cannot acquire by the experimental method. The scientific experimental knowledge will fail. Transcendental knowledge is handed down to you. So let's begin now. This first section of chapter 4, the first 3 verses, I subtitle, Who Can and How to Understand This Bhagavad-gita. Huh? I know, I'm going over, there's new people. We'll see how much we have learned. Now I know who to ask questions. Okay, so the first 3 verses, the subject is who can and how to understand this Bhagavad-gita. Follow along. The personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna said, I instruct this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god, Vivasvan. So first point there. There is a presiding deity on the sun planet. Just as here in America we have different countries with their presidents and prime ministers, so the sun planet also has its reigning ruler, because God is small g, meaning not the supreme God, but a subordinate God, the sun god. His name currently Vivasvan. And Vivasvan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind. See the English word man and the Sanskrit word Manu, or actually Manusha. So there are some English words which have their origin in Sanskrit. And Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. This supreme, so here is the history of Bhagavad-gita in the universe. The research, when Krishna spoke to the sun god, that was a few million years ago. That's the context. In the purport, Prabhupada gives the exact calculation. But it's a few million years ago that Krishna instructed the sun god in this Bhagavad-gita. The supreme science, so that's important. This Bhagavad-gita is a science. How is it a science? It is a science in this sense. Certain practices, formulas are postulated. If you follow the procedures, you are to get a predictable result. That's science. You follow the standard procedure, and as a result, you get something which you were expecting to get. Just like if you know the process, 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen, you should be able to create water. There's a process. If you can master that process, you can make water. Okay? So in the same way, Bhagavad-gita has various principles which you follow, you will get the result. My dear Krishna Kumar, O student of Bhagavad-gita, what would you say is the result of studying Bhagavad-gita? What should you get from reading Bhagavad-gita? Good. You should get transcendental knowledge. And what is that other thing you said? Knowledge about God. And I will now ask Rama, what is the ultimate fruit of Bhagavad-gita? Return to his abode. Very good. And my good friend, since you are a disciple of Lord Chaitanya, if Lord Chaitanya was asked this question, what is the ultimate purpose of Bhagavad-gita, what would Lord Chaitanya say?
Okay, Lord Chaitanya said, you broadcast. Whatever you have, how can I say?
That's all right, but that's not the...
You preach.
What is the ultimate... I'll ask you. If Lord Chaitanya was asked, what is the ultimate fruit of reading and studying Bhagavad-gita, what would he say?
Love of God. Love of God.
The answer I've been waiting for.
Loving God.
Love of God. All your other answers were okay. They're acceptable. But the A+ answer is what
Love of God.
the Agarwal said. Love, yes? That means I got to keep reading. Or else they're not. Well, if you read Bhagavad-gita, then you should be doing devotional service.
That's why it emphasizes all over Bhagavad-gita devotional
Yes. Yes. All right. Let us continue. So, the supreme science. So here Krishna is saying, there may be many sciences in the world. Bhagavad-gita is the supreme science. Was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession. So that disciplic succession. Brahma heard from Narayan. Then Brahma instructed Narada. Narada instructed Vyasdev. Vyasdev instructed Madhvacharya. Madhvacharya had his disciples coming down to Madhavendra Puri. And then from Madhavendra Puri, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and from Lord Chaitanya, the 6 Goswamis, down to Srila Prabhupada and to us. The disciplic succession. And the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. So this Bhagavad-gita we are studying was spoken how long ago, Krishna Kumar? This Bhagavad-gita we're studying, when was it spoken? 5,000 years. Very good. Excellent. So at that time, Krishna detected the science as it is. That's the key. The science as it is appears to be lost. Now, this next sentence tells you what is Bhagavad-gita. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme. That is what Bhagavad-gita is. The science of the relationship with the Supreme. The Supreme either being Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. As far as we are concerned, we are devotees, yes? Are we trying to develop relationship with Brahman? How about Paramatma? Who are we after? Bhagavan, Krishna. Bhagavan meaning the personality of Godhead. Huh? What'd she say?
Living being.
Human being.
Yes, as a person. Okay. All right. That very ancient science of the relationship with... Okay, next question. What is the basic underlying relationship of the living entity with the Supreme? What is the common relationship? Service. Very good. Service. That's the basic relationship. Service. Just as your hand is supposed to put the food in the mouth, we are meant to serve God. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend. So here are the two qualifications. He does not say that you have to be a man or a woman or a Hindu or American or Republican. No. Only two qualifications required. You have to be Krishna's devotee and you have to be Krishna's friend. That's it. So based on that, Krishna Kumar, can anyone be a student of Bhagavad Gita? Provided what?
Believe in Krishna.
Well, just give it what Krishna said. Devotee and friend of Krishna. That's it. No other qualifications required. Just be Krishna. And now I will ask my kirtan friend, if you ask Lord Chaitanya, okay, what makes one a devotee according to Lord Chaitanya? Bottom line. Bottom line. What makes one a devotee?
What makes the devotee?
Simple answer.
Chant.
Huh? I'm asking him, let him get the answer. What?
The person has to by chanting.
Chant.
Actually,
That's
yeah.
it.
By chanting only.
Stop where you are. You got 100%. Anyone who chants the name of God is devotee. Basic. And according to Lord Chaitanya's teachings, it doesn't even have to be the name Krishna. Because Lord Chaitanya said, how many names does Krishna have? Yeah, hundreds and thousands. And it doesn't have to be a Sanskrit name either. Allah, Buddha, Jehovah, Yahweh, Christ, any name of God. Doesn't have to be. Of course, I'm Krishna's salesman. I'm going to recommend that everybody chant Krishna. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said this, Prabhupada said this, if you understand God by some other name and you're attached, that's fine, provided you're signifying the Supreme Person. What's good? Okay, very good. All right. You are my devotee as well as my friend and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. Mystery means it's not so readily understandable. It's a mystery. You have to really study it. Not like some novel or magazine you get at the newsstand. When you go to the grocery market, they have all those cheap magazines, right? And they have these amazing headlines. Like there's one I saw today. Mrs. Obama is going to divorce. That's the latest one. I'm giving an example, practical, so people understand. Yes, I know. I'm just giving an example so that people understand. Okay? So this is a mystery, and unless you study, so if something is a mystery, you have to read it carefully, not just, oh yeah. No. You have to study it very nicely. And if required, if you don't understand Bhagavad Gita the first time, Arjuna, what should you do? Read it again. Okay, I read Bhagavad Gita 10 times. I still don't understand. What should I do?
Keep reading.
Yes.
Keep reading.
Keep reading. Or else go to somebody who understands and learn from that person. Okay, so now we go to the second section, verses 4 through 8. Understanding Krishna's transcendental position. In other words, I may believe in God, but I should know what is his position. What does it mean? What does God do? Does he just live in the clouds and drink wine? What does God do? So what is his position? So these verses 4 through 8 is going to explain. So follow along. Arjuna said, the sun god Vivaswan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him? From Arjuna's angle of vision, Krishna and him are contemporaries. They're of the same generation. So Arjuna doesn't know what Krishna just said, that he spoke Bhagavad Gita to the sun god a couple of million years prior. All Arjuna knows that this is Krishna, my relative, and he's about the same age as me, right? So Arjuna's question is plausible. So let's see what Krishna says. The personality of Godhead said, many, many births both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy. So, what lesson that we learned in chapter 2 did Krishna just reconfirm? What lesson in chapter 2?
Life after life, the soul is eternal.
Yes, and has lived throughout many births, many different bodies. That we learned in we should have learned in chapter 2. Verses 11 through 30. Those 20 verses discusses the difference between the body and the soul. Are the body and soul the same? No. They're two distinct identities. Now let's see what we remember from chapter 2. What material example in chapter 2 did Krishna give to explain how we change bodies? He gave a common material example. Changing clothes. Exactly. You change clothes unless you're a street person, but cultured person changes clothes every day. In the same that we change clothes, we change bodies.
But boys to old, boys to the old, middle-aged, and there's a change of body.
Yes, that would be a secondary example, but the best example is the one they just gave. Okay? Okay. Now, in this statement by Krishna, what difference is there between God and a human being based on this statement? What is the difference between God and an ordinary human being? That's not what it says here.
No, God knows all the changes, but we don't know.
That's the answer. Based on what we read here, that is the difference. Arjuna also had many births, but he doesn't remember. But Krishna says, I remember. So that's the difference between God and us. Our knowledge is poquito pequeño, limited. And God's knowledge is unlimited. Okay? That's why any philosophy which teaches that you are God is blasphemous. You're not God. Neither am I. Okay? And it's not a position that you can get by rigging the election. You cannot become God. Post is taken. How long? Forever. In the past, present, and it's not that someday, well, one day I'll knock off Krishna and I'll become, no. It's not going to happen. Can't become something you're not. You are the servant of God, glorious, but you cannot become God. Okay. Now, in this statement of Krishna, how does Krishna glorify Arjuna? After telling him he can't remember, he also, Yes, he's praising him. He said, oh, subdue, because previous to this, Arjuna has done many heroic feats. Like, what great demigod did Arjuna have a good battle with? Yes, Lord Shiva. Right? He got benedicted. And he did other things. Arjuna's name and fame was widespread. Arjuna went to heaven and was sitting there in the heavenly planets with his father. Who's his father? Indra, the king of heaven. So this is quite an astonishment. Talk about going to the moon. Right? Arjuna went to the heavenly planets in his self-same body. No spacesuit, no rocket ship. Arjuna went there in his self-same body. Quite a feat. All right, let's continue. Who is speaking? Krishna. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. In this statement, what quality do we have the same as Krishna? I said the same as. What quality do we have this? And according to this verse, there's something we have the same as Krishna. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. One of these statements is also true for the living entity. Which one? Huh? Wrong. Unborn. You learned in chapter 2 the soul never was born. You remember that from chapter 2? It was stated a couple of times. So the soul is Aja. Krishna, we have that same feature. Now, is this body, your body, is it transcendental?
No.
Does it not deteriorate? It doesn't deteriorate? Yeah, look in the mirror. And those of us who know, we know very well what's happening. So we don't have that. Krishna's body doesn't deteriorate. Our body does. Are we the Lord of all living entities? Okay, do we still appear in every millennium in our original transcendental form? Oh, at least it's not. It ain't this one. All right. So that was the only thing that we have common to Krishna, that the soul is unborn. Okay, let's continue. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, Kamlesh, loud and clear, according to what you have studied in Bhagavad-gita, what is the ultimate religious practice? Surrender to Krishna. Very good. I know I can always count on you. So, whenever and wherever there is decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and the predominant rise of irreligion, so there's a correlation. One goes up, the other has to go down. One goes down, the other has to go up. You can't have religion and irreligion going up at the same time. That's impossible. Either one is increasing, the other is decreasing. It's like this. In Kali Yuga, which one is on the uptake? Irreligion. And it's being manifested on a daily basis. Just look at the headlines. Day after day, irreligion is, that stock is going up. Kamlesh, what is the capital city of irreligion?
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. The capital city of, they even pride themselves, Sin City. They're very proud. Let us go. Only you can say that. Okay. Very good. Thank you, Kamlesh. All right. So whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharat, and the predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. So, thought question. Prabhupada answers it. Let's see who knows. I get this all the time. Maybe you get it. So right now, the world situation is very bad. So people ask, hey, your Bhagavad Gita says that Krishna is supposed to descend because there's a predominant rise of irreligion. So that means your religion is false, because why doesn't Krishna come? What's the answer?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared.
Yes, then? And? He's gone.
He's a god.
Yeah, so? Right now.
So he appeared in
Right now, where is Krishna right now?
No. Bhagavad Gita.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has gone back.
Bhagavad Gita.
Wait, stop. Govind, what's the answer? The Maha Mantra. The Maha Mantra. Right? Because it doesn't matter that Lord Chaitanya is not here. The Maha Mantra is here. So, or Prabhupada wrote in the 10th canto, Krishna has taken birth in the womb of the Hare Krishna movement. He writes that in the 10th canto. So Krishna has appeared in the form of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Take it up with Prabhupada if you don't accept. I accept. Who accepts that? I accept. He says right there in 10th canto, Krishna has taken birth in the womb of this Hare Krishna movement. Okay, so Krishna is here in the form of the Maha Mantra, in the form of bona fide temples who worship Krishna, right? He's here now because anywhere there is discussion of Krishna, Krishna says, I'm there. Are we discussing Krishna? Yes. Wherever it is read with devotional attitude, that's also in that Bhagavad-gita Mahatma later on. Krishna says, I'm there. Wherever Bhagavad-gita is spoken in an assembly of devotees. So Krishna is definitely here right now. He's here, but anyway, he's on the altar. He's here. All right. I descend myself to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants. So when Lord Chaitanya, how does he annihilate the miscreants? He doesn't strap on a suicide bomb and try to kill everybody. Yes. Lord Chaitanya destroys their demoniac mentality. Because the story of Jagai and Madai, Lord Chaitanya was going to kill, was it Jagai or Madai, the one that struck Nityananda. So Nityananda stopped him and said, if you kill him, you have to kill everybody of Kali Yuga because they're all sinful. That's not the game plan this time. Your game plan this time is you have to deliver them. So by Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement, by loud chanting, we destroy the demoniac mentality. So I think there should be, like, this week we had all these marches, protests. So the devotees should do a big Harinam Sankirtan in Washington, D.C. And no? No? Another one. Why not every day? Everybody chant the Maha Mantra.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.